Hello, Canucks fans, and welcome back to another episode of Canucks Conversation, brought to you by the great folks over at Bet365. Open an account with Bet365 today and bet on a huge range of markets. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Be sure to use code NATION when you sign up for an account. A Monday afternoon edition of Canucks Conversation. My name is Dave Woodrelli. Joining me is Patrick Johnston of the Province. Show the people your sweater, Patrick.
Oh, yeah. Bill Murray.
Bill Murray. Is that from a movie?
Merry Christmas. No, well, it's got his stripes, and then it just says Merry Christmas.
Is there a Bill Murray Christmas movie?
Well, yeah, there is on Netflix, but it's not that great.
Oh, it's that new one, right?
Newer.
Newer.
It's from a few years ago, Dave.
I don't think I watched.
This is going to start happening to you.
I don't watch Christmas
it's new,
movies.
Isn't it? No,
I got to be
Dave,
honest.
it's
The most
4 years
recent
old.
Christmas movie I've watched is Christmas Chronicles with Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn.
Oh, okay.
Have you seen it?
No.
You've got kids. You've got kids. I've got a dog. Same thing.
What did your dog think of it?
He loved it. Lot of blue, green.
Okay.
They can see those colors.
Really?
Yeah. What were we supposed to talk about?
I don't know.
Today?
You're just asking me about my sweater, and I wanted to talk about being on the couch here. Coop's couch.
Yes, the couch. Yes.
Coop, good old pal of mine, and I'm happy here. And I remember telling you guys got to use the couch. Got to look different because the two of you sitting up there, I don't know. It didn't work.
No, this was arguably the best recommendation we've ever got from anybody ever about this show. Is you came in and you said you guys got to go on the couch, and we did it. We've moved to the couch, and we absolutely love it. We love being on the couch. It's a good setup here. Busy show today, believe it or not, folks. We're gonna have Ryan Tattle of the Yukon Huskies joining us later. He's a former Coquitlam Express player. You can see his jersey behind us for those in the podcast. You can't see it, but former Coquitlam Express captain. He started an initiative called Score for Cancer. It's near and dear to his heart. We want to support it. So we're going to have Ryan on to chat about that and the Coquitlam Express game, the Score for Cancer game coming up. Even though Ryan's not there anymore, the Express still do it. And I believe, technical producer Jacob Lazar, that Ryan's going to be in town to drop the puck for that.
Yes, he will. The plan obviously was to schedule a game for when he was back in town from Connecticut, so he'll be there for the game and he'll tell the whole story. Great kid, good hockey player, and it's a pretty unique circumstance for how this initiative came to be, and we're excited to have him on to talk about it.
So he's going to join in about 15 minutes time, but we've got a lot to talk about in the meantime. Patrick, Canucks split a weekend series. They beat the Blue Jackets 5-2 after a rocky start to that game. One of the worst first periods I think this team's played.
Truly awful.
Now, post-game, Rick Tocchet says that Quinn Hughes had the room in the intermission, that Tocchet walked in, looked at Hughes, and immediately knew that Hughes was saying, I got it. It's handled. Yeah. Canucks going to come back. Also worth mentioning, Quinn Hughes on the ice for all 5 of the Canucks unanswered goals.
The interesting thing about Hughes as well, in that moment, like I had actually just talked to Carson Soucy, and I said, I assume this is one of these ones where you guys just know, like Talk doesn't have to say anything. Because people have this idea that Rick Talk is this like fire and brimstone screamer, and he is absolutely not. Even though he was like the hardest man in the NHL back in his day. He's not like that. And you just had this sense. And I looked and I said to Carson, I said, like, no, right? And he goes, no. He's like, we knew. And he didn't get into the detail, mention the Hughes part, but he basically said, no, like we knew what we had to do. Like, obviously that wasn't good enough. You know, it's the usual thing. Like the nice thing now I find, I mean, even though these guys never, like, I don't think they read any of our stuff that much, but like they're also reasonable. Like, I don't know. I mean, I know that the dynamics have changed of players here versus how it used to be. And like, they used to see your stories. Like Farhan Lalji was telling me a story about Henrik Sedin back in the day. Found out that Farhan was football coach because Henrik literally read a profile about Farhan starting the program at NUS or taking over the program at NUS Secondary. And he was like, he actually asked Farhan about that. That's not a dynamic you get anymore, but they still are like, we were crap. You could see it. Like, we all knew you were crap. And like, you guys knew we were crap. We knew we were crap. And they had to pick it up, and they did. I mean, that's the other thing. It was a remarkable game from like the first period. I was sitting next to Drance. We looked at each other. We're just like, this team's going to get skating off the ice. Like, they can't even keep up. And this, like, Columbus isn't even that good, but like, they're fast.
Lost 6-3 the night before,
right?
Too,
Right, and they were tired and all this, but they were outskating the Canucks, and yet the Canucks turned it around. And like Soucy mentioned, listen, we started playing smarter. We started realizing like we needed to challenge them better, because what they were doing was that they were getting the chip-ins and collecting because they were coming in at speed. They needed to find ways to change the way they were attacking into the zone, get to where the Canucks, when the Canucks are playing well, it drives Drance crazy. We know this because they're all about the picks and like off the puck stuff. But it works. and they got to that, and that's how the game turned. And I stopped by Dean Evison on our way to talk. I stopped by Dean Evison. I had a theory that they just ran out of gas. Put it to him.
I did see
He
this.
absolutely dismissed it. He goes, "I'm sorry, what's that?" I said, "Did you run into an energy wall? Like, did you guys run out of energy?" And just goes, "No," and looks away. And had nothing to do with it, because in the end, his belief was the Canucks had outplayed them, right? Outsmarted them. He was really frustrated with his team. So that was good. That was a good storyline for the Canucks. It was truthful. Also, their goalie turned into an idiot.
Not his first time against the Canucks.
Not his first time, no. And then the comparison with Sunday, which is that's a skilled, great team. And the Canucks were in it, and they didn't deserve to lose, right? You could quibble maybe if on the whole they deserved to win on Friday. The Canucks didn't deserve to lose, but they still lost because, as Rick Tocchet said, their star players were better than our star players, and that is the difference. And right now, I mean, sure, the Canucks are wounded and all that, but it was not a good night for Pedersen and Besser, especially. And you need more from those guys.
Canucks held it down at 5-on-5 against Tampa Bay, and they get one shot on goal from Brock Besser, 0 from Elias Pettersson.
Yeah.
And I'm not just saying 5-on-5. I'm talking about the power play, which is where this game was decided, was on special teams. Let's hear from Rick Tocchet after the game. This is what Tocchet said about special teams, and as you just said, Patrick, your best players being your best players.
5-on-5 play, special teams won the game for them and their best players. But I thought 5-on-5, we were fine. Just obviously unfortunate. Can't have that too many men, and then that's it. The Kucherov show, and there you go. So that's the way I look at it. We're close, but like I said, it's a special teams game. Their best players won the game for them. That's it. We just got to learn from that.
Special teams game.
I was on Rink White yesterday talking with J-Pat about this. I mean, the special teams thing was amazing. I think it was 15 shot attempts for Tampa on their power plays, and they scored twice. And Canucks, I think, had 6.
And they weren't just firing the puck from all angles. Like, Tampa, that was another thing.
Yeah.
The guts of the ice.
Yeah.
Wide open.
Yeah.
Open for business.
Yeah.
I know Tampa's great. I know they have Jake Gensel. I know
but
Nikita
the
Kucherov.
Canucks need to be great too, right? Like, it's not an excuse.
You don't even need to be great. You need to be standing in the right spot.
Yeah.
Like, the penalty kill wasn't good enough yesterday, and that's not something we've said many times this year. But look, the Tampa power play, that first power play unit is phenomenal. The way they snap the puck around, we know this, but you need to be better. You need to be better as the difference maker. Like, you are in that game, and I mean, they were in it right till the end, I suppose, empty net goal, but you probably win that game if you don't give up the power play goals that you give.
Right.
Not even you go score one yourself, just you don't give up some power play goals. And again, like Carson Soucy, kind of alluded to it, the too many men penalty there at the end, that was bad. That was bad by Soucy.
That was not good. And moments of inattention. I mean, Soucy's been pretty great overall, right?
It's in my notes.
I wrote a story about him on Saturday. He had a great game on. I mean, there was a moment in Friday's game where there was a sort of chaotic moment in front of the Canucks crease. I think it was in the third period, and the puck ended up between Soucy's legs. Kevin Lankinen's like lying on the ice, and Soucy just looked down, took a stick, and just whacked it straight back. And he got rid of the problem. And it was sort of a chaotic moment in a weird spot, and he was so calm about it. And I mentioned it to him. I said, "Listen, I saw that. I saw you do that." I'm like, "This is a guy who's feeling good again." And he went, "Yeah, he has been playing better." And then Rick Tocchet got asked about him, and he talked about how much better Soucy's been, I guess, since the road trip, really. So yeah, that's good. But like in the end, that's a moment where you expect your guys to be better, and Soucy screwed up. Right, those things happen, but like it's when you do them, it's like the penalties at the end of the ice, like Niels Höglander taking a tripping penalty at the end of the ice that drives the coach crazy and
unnecessary penalty.
Yeah,
not saving a play, not doing anything. It's a lack of attention to detail. That's what it is. Mm-hmm. Those kind of penalties. Speaking of defensemen playing well, I have Noah Juleson. Thought he's been playing better. Even his 5-on-5
for what he
plays,
is, yeah, he's been fine.
5-on-5 plays been getting better.
Yeah.
Penalty killing, we know how good he is as a penalty killer.
That shot he had the one timer was a hell of a shot. I mean, he put it where
get it up more.
It wasn't a bad spot. Like in the end, that's why he's a number 6 defenseman.
And
right?
Andrei Vasilevsky's Andrei Vasilevsky.
Yeah, like listen. The goalie's probably going to stop it, but he put a shot in a pretty good spot.
Yep.
And he got a good shot off.
You know what? He didn't fan on it. He didn't put it wide.
Didn't put it wide. Hit the net. And he, he didn't pick a corner. It would have been nice to pick a corner, sure. But in the end, he was kind of shooting in a tricky spot for a goalie when they're moving to close off that. Like, close off under their
Yeah.
armpit. Like that is a tricky one, but it's Andrei Vasilevsky, so what are you gonna do? So anyway, I thought it was credit to him for a guy taking his chance when he had his chance. Yeah, he's been fine. I mean, they obviously still overall need upgrades on the blue line. Everybody knows this.
Yep.
The team knows this. I
Yep.
can tell you this.
Speaking of defensemen starting to play a little better, how about Tyler McCarr in the final half of Sunday's game? Like, final half. I'm not just talking third period. Like, last 10 minutes of the second, third period. Man was possessed.
Yeah.
Tyler McCarr.
Tyler
It's
McCarr.
going to catch on. Tyler McCarr.
Yeah, he was great. People love to yell and scream, and I get it. Like every fan has the guy that they want to go after. I think honestly, last couple seasons been a bit unfair. He gets singled out for every mistake. Rarely gets praised for his good moments. He had a hell of a game.
Yeah, he
and
did.
He really did.
Yep.
And there were a couple moments where he like game saving or goal stopping plays. Shut down a couple defensive plays. Absolutely deserved credit. He was a guy that actually I had on my list to mention yesterday, and I did not. So I'm glad you brought him up. Tyler McCarr.
It's catching on. Write it down. Write that down, Tyler McCarr. I definitely
Chaos
wrote
Giraffe.
it down. I mean,
How
again,
can you go against Wyatt like that? Does Wyatt know that you're trying to come up with your own nickname?
I have to have my own brand.
Okay. As long as we're clear on that.
Okay, what else did I have in my notes about that game? Oh, how about the goalie? Kevin Lankinen played really well in both of those games. I thought he was fantastic. You're looking at if Demko can come back, and not necessarily can Demko come back and be a Vezina finalist, but can he be a top 10 starter in the league? Probably. If he's that, like, you have one of the best tandems in the league.
Yeah. And I've said this, I don't know if I said it here, but I've said it in several places, that it's kind of wild looking at the money gets through. Like Shesterkin gets a new contract, right? Like I get the instinct to want to lock in your goalie, especially if you have an elite goalie. But it does amaze me when you sit back and you look at it. Like Kevin Lankinen was sitting there all summer and ended up basically just above league minimum contract.
Yeah.
And the marginal difference, like I get it, right? Like there is a difference. You even watching the game last night, there is a difference. Like Vasilevsky, like does Lankinen suck that one up? He probably does, but it's not guaranteed. Like Vasilevsky is kind of a lock. Shesterkin's kind of a lock, right? Is Jeremy Swayman a lock though? Like there are deals here and there where you're like, you sure this is how you want to allocate your funds?
We've been talking about this. Allmark even. Like, all these guys out there. There's so many guys that are getting the big money. And Jake Ottinger, like, I like Jake Ottinger.
Yeah.
But, again, we're seeing this big money, and we've talked about this a few times about how the Canucks are getting such good value, not only from Kevin Lankinen, but like Thatcher Demko, a Vezina finalist at $5 million. Like, that's a great contract for the Canucks.
Well,
even Hellebuck, what he's got in Winnipeg, that's great for the team.
Yeah, I mean, like, Demko was signed, basically as kind of, well, would you take this now? We'll give you this now. We think you're going to be the guy. You could make more later.
Yep.
And those are hard ones to do. But again, a lesson if you think creatively, and this was part of the appeal of having Ian Clark around, was that you had a goalie treadmill or a goalie conveyor belt, right? Like you didn't need to stick on a guy forever. And I think they haven't. I mean, he's got to come back and play. Yep. But they do certainly have some interesting dilemmas ahead of them in the goal over what they're going to do in terms of Demko right now, in terms of Kevin Lankinen, in terms of is there another guy coming down the pipe? May not be Artur Shilovs. I don't know how we feel about Nikita Tolopilo. What's the official Canucks combo position on Nikita Tolopilo?
We love Nikita Tolopilo.
Are feeling great about him still?
Yeah.
How's your old guy Ako Koskunvuo?
I haven't checked. I got to read Blackfish. Blackfish doesn't come out till tomorrow.
But Davey used to go on and on about this kid.
Yeah,
like you wrote several profiles. I mean, I've written about him.
Archers.
But yeah, like it is such a statement to come back to Lankinen. Like it's such a statement about like if you're smart about this and you do the right kind of bits and pieces, you can find like Lankinen's been fantastic.
Yep.
And he was a very good backup in Nashville, and he was a very good 1B in like terrible Chicago.
And I called it victory lap.
Did you?
Absolutely, I called it.
Or did Woodley call it?
Woodley called it sooner than I did.
That's what I'm saying. So who really should be taking the victory lap?
I'm the only one that said it on this show.
Well, you didn't have me on.
Oh, you weren't on the Lankinen train early, were you?
I don't know. I thought it was an interesting signing. I couldn't believe you.
I'm talking
I was on
a month before the signing. I was talking about Kevin Lankinen. I think a couple months even.
What, you were talking about him in July?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Someone might have to fact check that, but I'm pretty sure.
Someone fact check it, please.
I was
Commenters,
talking for a
get in
while
there.
about
you guys
Kevin
are
Lankinen.
you guys are better at this than Davis.
I gotta look it up. I gotta look it up when I
But
first.
no, listen. Credit to you if you were on the, because I was sitting there in August. I was like, wait, what? He's not signed?
Mhm.
Like, how is this a thing? How is this possible? Like, this is a good goalie. I wasn't like the person running around screaming, Kevin Lankinen deserves better. But I was shocked to discover that this guy who had played well in the NHL for 4 years was unsigned.
Do you want to hear my theory? My theory when it comes to goaltenders is that heading into every offseason, there's about 3 or 4 goalies that are backups that hit the open market.
Right.
Usually, okay?
Yeah.
There's about
yeah.
Or it's more like 2 or 3 in normal years where there are guys that are going to get increases. I'm not talking like James Reimer. I'm not talking about the journeymen that are becoming backups, right? Like, I'm not talking about those guys. I'm talking about the guys like Laurent Brossoit and Anthony Stolarz who are going to get these contracts. And my theory is that every year there's about 2 or 3, and there's usually about 2 or 3 teams that are willing to sign those guys.
Yes.
And it was Stolarz and it was Brossoit that got signed, and then Lankinen was without a seat at the table. That's my theory.
Yeah. I guess. I mean, and then there you go.
We're gonna get to
the
more.
Canucks didn't know what they wanted to do.
Absolutely. They in the end. I
mean,
always said this. They needed Lankinen. Lankinen needed them.
The weird thing is, if you think about, and I don't really have any intel on this other than what Dhaliwal reported, but if you look back to pre-draft and the obvious anxieties they had about Demko then, right, knowing where they were at, because at that point, I think he would have had his minor procedure.
Yes,
whatever
he had
that
it.
was,
Yes,
right
on the hip.
So they knew that, okay, we're not going to necessarily have, or we have concerns about Demko. Are we comfortable going into the season with Shelovs as our guy? And I'm not even sure they were necessarily coming out of the playoffs even before they were worried about Demko. It is weird that if they really did circle back on Casey DeSmith, like if that's something you're thinking about, why aren't you poking around? Mm-hmm. And so what changed? What changed? And you know what? Maybe I'll have to get at Jordan Newman and ask him what changed it for your client. Because not Jordan Newman.
Todd Diamond.
Todd Diamond. My guy Todd. But what changed? Because like in the end, like they also knew they saw what was going on with the Canucks. Like they slow played it very carefully, and they wanted to see what the market was going to do too.
And it's paid off.
It's paid off for the Canucks because the Canucks in the end stood their ground, right? Like Alvin, this is an Alvin win, right? Like he stood the team's ground, and he got a goalie on an incredible price who is performing even better than expected, I think. Yeah,
we're going to talk more goaltending in our poll question. But right now, we want to get to this interview with Ryan Tattle of the Yukon Huskies. I'm super excited about this. I chatted with Ryan. You remember Clay Stevenson? You remember Clay Stevenson, right?
Sure.
Okay. So I chatted with Ryan about Clay because Clay was the goaltender on the 2019-20 Coquitlam Express team that would have won a Fred Page Cup, might I add. We're having some technical difficulties with Ryan, so I'm going to tell you all about the 2019-20 Coquitlam Express.
Why are we wearing our toques? You could tell us all about the
we
toques.
could have worn our toques.
We should find that photo. Get Jacob to find that photo. Maybe I'll see if I can find it on Instagram while we're talking here.
Jacob might be a little preoccupied right now trying to get Ryan.
Yeah, just trying to fix it there. He was connected in our back end, just trying to get him on. So
I'm going to see if I can find this
right
here
now.
on my
Should be good.
But yeah, keep talking.
Yeah, are you looking for the toque photo?
Keep talking, Dave.
Yeah, well, the toque photo is a good one. So the toque photo, the story there, I'll tell the story quickly. Tally Campbell, GM of the Express, he got me some toques, brought them for you, Farhan, Dan Murphy.
And I think, was it deadline day?
Yes, we brought them on a big day. We were repping the Express on a big day.
Do you remember what happened that day? Speaking of goalies?
No, but Ryan's here now.
Okay.
Ryan, thanks so much for joining us, man. Really appreciate you taking the time. How you been?
I'm good, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you. Are you home right now, or are you in Connecticut still?
I'm still here in Connecticut. I got my Canada flag there to make it feel a little bit like home, but I'm heading home tomorrow.
Awesome. Okay, and you're going to obviously be there for the Score for Cancer game on the 21st. Just tell us a bit about how this initiative started. I believe it's the fourth year that you've done it?
Yeah, I know, I can barely believe it too. But so I guess how it started when I finished my 19-year-old year at junior hockey. University of Connecticut decided to push me back one year, and they're like, you'll play another year of junior hockey. And I was okay. I was, excited. I live at home, right? It wasn't a big deal for me, but, knowing it was going to be my final send-off for my junior hockey career, I kind of wanted to make it a memorable one. So talking with my dad and the rest of my family, we kind of decided to do a little bit of a fundraiser with, hopes of maybe raising $50,000 or something like that. And it kind of blew up, and, the Express were fully on board with it. And, I'm lucky to be able to have it still going and doing a game for the fourth time.
Just talk a bit about the inspiration. Obviously, we know about your mom, Greg Lapointe as well. Like, just the inspiration for the initiative.
Yeah, I think, well, for me, it's obviously so close to home, right? At the time, my mom was just starting her battle with cancer. But I think, just everybody, like, I think you guys definitely know people who've battled the disease or currently battling. And then, it's so sad that everyone has somebody they know, they love, that they care about, that has gone through it. And if you know anything firsthand about it, it's such a difficult thing to go through. So I think seeing my mom go through it firsthand, and then also, like you said, playing with Greg Lapointe, seeing him go through it, I was like, this is not right. Like, this kid's 21, it shouldn't be happening to him. So, those kind of experiences led me to really want to make a difference. And, one of the coolest parts about this whole journey for me has been hearing other people's stories firsthand. I mean, I remember playing a game in Victoria during the first year of Score for Cancer, and I had a fan come up to me after the game, and she just told me how much she thanked me for doing what I was doing, and how, her mother was also battling cancer. And, I think that stuff was really cool to me, to know that, hey, I'm not the only one going through it. I know that, but also that, maybe what I'm doing is inspiring and motivating other people to, try to make a difference as well.
Ryan, when you search for Score for Cancer on Google, it comes up with the descriptions being the goal of Score for Cancer is simple: to raise as much money as possible. I just love that mentality. Like, don't set a target. Let's just see what we can do. Let's keep it simple.
Yeah, it's pretty lofty goal, but no, I like it.
And just like the idea of it, obviously, is just raise as much money as possible, as PJ just said. But like, how nice is it that your junior team just keeps kind of welcoming you back with open arms to keep this going, even after you're not with the team anymore?
Yeah, like I said, it's pretty special. I mean, I was super lucky to be able to live at home and play junior hockey. I don't know many guys that get to do that, let alone for 3 years. So I was able to build a lot of good relationships with the people of Coquitlam. And, when I go home, I get to go to that game, obviously, and I get to see all these people that work for Coquitlam or people that come to the games, and it feels like home again. So I'll be practicing with the Express next week when I'm at home, and then, I'll be hosting the game on the Saturday night. So it's really cool, and I'm super lucky to have such a great organization that supports the initiative.
Well, if you need a jersey, we've got one here. Jacob, our producer. You know Jacob, obviously. Jacob is our producer. He's got this jersey here. We're never taking this down, by the way. That's what we decided.
Yeah, hey, keep it up. It's a good look.
So I'll actually jump in. The reason I have that jersey is because when Ryan first started Score for Cancer, I kind of helped him with a little bit of website stuff, and I said, I don't want any money from you. I don't want anything other than your jersey from your rookie season in Coquitlam. So and I've kept it ever since, and now it dons the stage here for this interview. And Ryan, I have a question for you. So obviously you and we've known each other for a long time. I saw you mature, in your U18 days, and then ultimately end up being the captain of the Coquitlam Express in the BCHL. So what would you say was the biggest part of your journey, and how does the Score for Cancer initiative really fit into your development as a young man and as a hockey player?
It's a good question, Jacob. First of all, before I even answer that, I want to say that Score for Cancer probably wouldn't be what it is without Jacob. We were launching like in 4 or 5 days, and I was trying my best to build a website, and I was freaking out. I was so close to throwing my laptop against the wall, but Jacob came in and saved the day, and that's why we have the beautiful logo and the beautiful website that we do have. But in terms of maturing and growing, I think the whole thing has just allowed me to kind of develop as a person. I mean, doing stuff like this is maybe sometimes nerve-wracking before, but I've done it so many times now, and just talking about it, it's easy because I'm passionate. I think, like you said, I was pretty immature younger, and I had to learn and grow, but so many people have helped me become, I guess, who I am. And this initiative, especially, like I said, doing things like this, talking to people about it, having the conversations, people who care and are equally passionate about things like this. It helps me develop, and then I think it helps them as well. So, yeah, that's kind of what I got for you, Jacob.
That first year, you get it done. Like you said, there's the scramble to get this website up. It happens. You're like, okay, I think I know something. You go into last year. You're probably trying to apply some lessons from that first year. Maybe I can do it better. What's the lesson? Where are you at right now? What have you come to understand about what you're doing and what can come next?
Yeah, so I think, in terms of the game, I think we'd have a pretty good understanding of how things can be run and the best ways to kind of go about raising money. I think the cool thing for us now is we get presented with other opportunities. So, I don't want to give away any spoilers, but I think, in the next year or so, I'll give a quick teaser. I think in the next year or so, we're going to try to do something else, maybe a little bit of a bigger event of sorts. But, I'm far from done with the Score for Cancer idea and the initiative. I think, for me, it's something that's so close to home. It's something that is I really care about and I want to keep doing for a very long time. So, yeah, we're in a really good place, and I work with really good people at the Canadian Cancer Society that help me and set me up for success. So,
Ryan, just before we let you go, first of all, we got to get this signed. This jersey's got to get signed at some point. But final question, 1920 Express, like you guys would have won the Fred Page Cup if it weren't for COVID, right?
Yeah, man. I think so. I mean, there were definitely some good teams in that league. Trail was pretty good that year, but I'd like to bet on us if I could.
Absolutely. Ryan, thanks so much for taking the time today. People can find it. We have the link, Score for Cancer. It's going to be podcast too, Jacob?
Yeah, so it'll be in the description of the podcast. It's in the description on YouTube. It's also pinned in the YouTube live chat. If you guys can, I'm sure we all would appreciate a donation, but even just listening to Ryan's story and, giving it a share on social media is certainly going to help. So thank you to everybody in the chat if you are able to donate. And if not, thank you for listening to Ryan's story.
And Ryan, thanks so much for being here. We really appreciate you taking the time, and we'll see you soon in Coquitlam.
Yeah, guys, hopefully you can make the game.
Absolutely. All the best, Ryan.
All right, thanks so much for having me.
There he is, Ryan Tattle, Yukon Huskies, former Coquitlam Express captain. God, the jersey. You know what? I got to say, Coquitlam Express jersey, and the 16 looks really good on it. I'm sure Ryan knows that. That's one of the best looking jerseys.
It's sharp.
It's sharp.
Yeah.
It is sharp.
I designed those jerseys.
What? Of course you did.
Yeah, when I was working for the team. That's why I really wanted that jersey, and
Nice.
I'm so thankful that Ryan was able to get it for me.
That is clean.
What were you looking at when there's a bit of an old school Bruins look here?
Yeah, a little bit of like old school Bruins. You haven't seen the front, PJ, but it's got like the New York Rangers diagonal express.
Oh, nice.
down
Oh,
the
it
front.
does?
Oh, that's
Yeah.
classic. Yeah, that's nice.
Oh, yeah.
Nicely done.
That's a beauty.
Should we turn it around for the YouTube viewers?
No, it's okay.
No, okay.
Do it later.
Jeez Louise, Dave.
Yeah, that's great. Our thanks again to Ryan. Please donate if you're able to. It is in the description of wherever you're watching this show, actually. You will be able to go find it. Okay, let's get into our poll question, which is brought to you by our friends over at Greta, a great spot for all games, home and away. We were there for the first viewing party of the season. Patrick was here at the Wall Center, but you got an experience a little bit.
I got Dave live on location.
Live on location on election night, and I reported it.
That's right.
I was there like I was a reporter. I signed off with Dave
Well,
Guidrelli,
it's old
Canucks
school.
Army.
Yeah, I mean, for you kids, this is what used to be on on TV. They live on location.
Yeah, that's right. And I'll be doing it again when
They
we
do
do
it
it
in the
again.
news. They do it on the radio. Dave, it's like you went to broadcasting school.
It's like I went to broadcasting school. Well, I did for a little bit, but anyways, okay. We have more watch parties coming.
Dave.
Huh?
That's the point.
Oh.
You did go. I was giving you credit.
I thought you were saying like I didn't go, but I
No,
turned
you
out
did.
okay.
It's like you actually know what you're doing.
Oh, okay, that's not true. But anyways, we were there for the first viewing party of the season. We're going to be there throughout the year. Don't miss out. But even if we're not there, you should be. Just minutes from the arena. Come by before and after the game or whatever event you're downtown for with arcade games, weekly drink specials, and the recently updated street food menu. Greta Bar YVR is the place to be. 50 West Cordova Street is the address. Let the games begin. Your favorite arcade game?
Oh, NBA Jam.
Oh, NBA Jam's
Easy.
a classic. Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah. There's some good ones out there at Greta. They got the beautiful air hockey table.
Yeah, those are
That air
good.
hockey table is
Yeah.
legit.
I do like my kids love it. The bowling one, where you throw it and then it shows on the screen.
Yes, that one's fun.
That's pretty fun.
Yeah, that's a good
a
one.
good one. I like
that's
any
a
of
really
those
good
kind
one.
of things.
You know what? To me, you can't beat skee ball.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that kind of thing. Exactly.
Yeah, can't
Yeah.
beat that. Okay. What was our poll question? Yeah, poll question. Bring it
Come
up,
on,
Jacob. Poll question today was about the goaltenders. Who will finish with more starts this year? Thatcher Demko, who obviously currently has 0, or Kevin Lankinen, who's currently at 20?
Well, what? How many games are left? 50.
Yeah.
58 or something.
I'm going to say Lankinen.
Well, it's probably Lankinen. Just even if because like Demko would have to start almost all those. Like, let's say Lankinen gets 20 more starts, right? That's 38 starts. That still gets Lankinen up to 40, right? Like that'd be 38 starts for Demko and 40 starts for So I think if you bet Lankinen, you're probably a person who understands probability better than a person who doesn't.
I'm going with Lankinen, along with the 80.2% of voters, but I do have time for the 19.8% of voters who said Thatcher Demko, because, Patrick, we have seen this team rely on Thatcher Demko in the past. I know they have to be careful with his knee, but
they don't even have to like lean on him. Like, this is the point.
And this is what I'm saying. Down the stretch, there's a chance, and I'm not saying I think this is going to happen, but I'm playing devil's advocate for the 19.2% who said Thatcher Demko, because I think those people are looking at it and saying, you know what? This team hasn't played spectacular to this point.
No.
Lankinen's mastered a lot of those issues.
Yeah.
As soon as Lankinen slips up, and I'm not saying it's going to happen, nor do I want it to, I'm saying that I think this is the thought process of the people voting Demko, is that it's a perennial Vezina contender. Eventually, he's going to be starting. Like, Lankinen's probably going to start every 5th game at some point this year.
But you've got to let Lankinen keep getting a chance to throw his fastball.
I agree.
Like, you let him sit in the bullpen, and at some point, he's not going to have the comfort level with his...
You might get the Archer Sheilov situation.
Well, that's what I mean, right? So I think, the idea that he's going to... I mean... It seems hard to go against the idea of him playing every 3 games.
Yep.
Right? Like, Demko gets 2 out of every 3 games.
And I know we're getting way ahead of ourselves, but
he has to play, David.
Yeah,
he has to actually play a game first.
Well, if you think I'm getting ahead of myself now, what I'm about to say will really blow your socks off. Nice socks, by the way. Pizza.
Thank you. I'm wearing my pizza socks.
Yeah, they're good. We have to start having a conversation when it gets closer to the playoffs. We will. Of like, what are you going to do in playoffs? And I think that also goes to the Demko people who say it's going to be Demko. Down the stretch, Demko's going to get some starts. Like, they're not going to keep a rotation of every 3rd game of Lankinen if Demko's the guy in the playoffs. That's what I'm saying. It's like,
that's true.
It's going to be close.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're in a window now where it's a little more dynamic. It's not just like, he's the guy.
Yeah. It's not like Sheilov's is holding down the fort.
No. And I mean, if you want, without bringing up too many bad memories, think about 2011. Like, the Canucks have done this before. Like, it has been thought about, we have 2 good goalies. Are we really going to lean on only one?
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, Demko should be in a class to himself, and so he should be able to ride in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fair question. And I don't think, Dave, this is what we do.
This is what we do.
This is what Jim Rutherford suggests us to do. It's just talk about trade rumors and goalie rotations and stop talking about personal issues.
Any takeaway from that conversation you had with Rutherford?
Well, just to be clear, and I've said this many times.
Sorry, let me just give the context for people that maybe haven't seen it. Last week, Jim Rutherford tells the guy sitting beside me on the couch, what did he say again?
Well, he basically said no. I mean, the last part, but fundamentally, no. We're not trading JT Miller.
Yeah, that's right.
We stand by our player, and essentially,
and these ideas of trade rumors, and shut them down.
But at the same time, he said, "Listen, I know." Like, he knows there's an information vacuum, and people are going to chatter, and that's inevitable. And it was a little bit him getting frustrated at. I mean, I don't know what he's heard. There's all kinds of people whispering all kinds of things.
Well, there was a pretty prominent rumor going around. On Twitter that he was
saying
asking
of a personal nature. All these times, what's he do? Well, it's been. I mean, they haven't spelled it out, which they should have.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a mental health. It's been a mental health break. He needed to reset himself. And people were going, well, maybe it's this, maybe it's that, maybe blah 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 blah. And more than anything, that was his point. It was like, you people don't know. Like, what we're talking about. And to be honest, I don't know all that much. I can't speak for Dave, but like, you poke around, you hear lots of stuff, but like, the conversation behind closed doors was very much focused on what had happened with him in his playing, and that's why he's away.
Yep.
And so the idea that they're going to abandon him, that there's all these other reasons, he said it's not fair. It's not respecting to the player. It's not fair to anybody involved.
Yeah.
Just go back to talking about trade rumors.
Yep.
Right? Like, listen, you guys can want to trade him all you want. We're not trading him, but you can talk about trade all you want.
Yeah.
Like, that's what that should be what fans are focused on, and having some fun and reporters having some fun and columnists and insiders and whatever. Have some fun. Talk about that's what this is. As I always say, this is, it's a different form. It's celebrity gossip of a different kind.
That's right.
Right now, obviously, celebrity gossip encompasses all the craziness of other celebrity lives, and in this case, he said, "No, there's nothing here." I mean, that he went to bat for his player, and it was because I called him, right? So, I mean, I got fortunate with getting a nice story out of it, like from a business sense, but in the end, it was also an important narrative he felt that needed to be squashed, and I presented the opportunity for him to do that.
Well done. Okay, question from Miss L in the chat. Is Thatcher Demko starting tomorrow? Doesn't look like it. Or no, it does look like it.
I think it does.
Yeah, okay, sorry. Had my old notes. It does look like he's starting tomorrow, and my thing I wanted to say during anyone else is that I think he needs to start tomorrow.
I think he does too.
Because if the other option is Thursday when the Panthers are here.
I think it's tomorrow.
I know the Blues have been better since they got Montgomery behind the bench.
They've also been getting saves.
Yeah, they're getting the new coach bump. They're getting saves. The new coach bump. They're getting that for sure. They're still the Blues. They're not the defending cup champs anymore. Whereas the Panthers are.
And Demko told us on Thursday, said it's going to be, I think, in the next 3 games. And so you're like, okay. It was never going to be Friday. I thought maybe there was a chance at Sunday because they did claim, we don't care about the routines. But I was like, come on, you guys care about routines. Yeah. So I had a feeling it was going to be this day. I didn't necessarily say that, but maybe I should have laid out the reasons there. The fact that they canceled practice today screamed, well, he doesn't want to take any more questions for the big game. Which is fair enough.
That's really funny. I didn't even think of that.
That was kind of my instinct. I was like, I mean, they had practices. They had practice scheduled today, Wednesday, Friday, and they weren't going to practice every day. Like that just was never going to happen.
Yeah.
So coming off a matinee, 2 games in sort of 56 hours or whatever it be, or 50, whatever it would have been. It was a weird schedule. Get yourself reset physically. Don't need to practice. You'll have a nice hard morning skate tomorrow. I suppose this sets up Miller coming back on Wednesday.
Yes. So Darren Dreger reporting that Miller is going to be back on Wednesday. They're targeting a Wednesday return. He reported that on Sekeres and Price, our pals over at Sekeres and Price. So looking forward to seeing JT back at practice. One thing I need to do is chat with Jake DeBrusk again. Did you see this? Jake DeBrusk, my story with him?
Yes.
Okay.
He's a very friendly guy.
He's an awesome guy. Really liked my conversation with him. I didn't realize I'd met him at training camp, but I introduced myself in the locker room because I so rarely go.
Remembered you?
Yeah, he's like, oh yeah, I remember you. Shook my hand. I'm like, I think he might have confused me.
Because you're a young man, David.
Might have confused me for someone else.
Who is possible to confuse you with? Who else covering the team is it possible to confuse you with?
That's a good point.
There's no one that could be confused with you, Dave.
I'm trying to come up with a funny answer.
Because you still look young, Dave.
Yeah.
I'm just a compliment, okay? Take it.
It's
because you still, unlike the rest of us old curmudgeons.
Harman.
It's
always funny when our lighting is messed up and people always make comments about Harman and I's skin color. Like, we can hardly tell you guys apart.
What?
It happens a lot.
I don't believe that.
Oh, it happens a lot. It's a joke. It's a running joke.
He also has a beard.
Yes, he does have a beard.
You don't have a hope.
Well, I'm working on it.
You don't have a hope of a beard.
Jacob, zoom in on this. No, I'm kidding.
You don't have a hope of a beard, Dave.
Not yet. Although, you know what? I have to shave in new places now, and I don't like that. And for those on the podcast, I'm touching my face. Does anybody
want to know this?
I'm touching different parts of my face.
YouTube land, does anybody want to know about this? No.
All right, let's move on. Hey, pull up the quads bingo card for PJ to see later in the show.
Can we talk about this?
Do you want to? Well, hold on.
You know what I want to talk about.
We have to balance how off the rails we get and how on the rails we are. We have to keep it balanced.
I just wanted to pull up that Instagram picture I sent to him.
Oh yeah.
Yes, I'll have that up in like 2 minutes. Not even 2 minutes. I'm working on it.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, what I was getting at is Jake evidently remembered me. I think he might. I don't know. Anyways, doesn't matter.
Cool story,
Jake and
bro.
I had a nice conversation, and we were talking about. Like, it started with me being like, All Star is your Spotify Wrapped song, and then we talked about All Star.
Oh, nice.
Really liked Shrek. He's a film connoisseur like myself. Really likes the Shrek movies. And then I was like, oh, are you a Swiftie at all? Because Taylor Swift was in town. And he's like, oh, yeah. Like, I saw her at Gillette at the start of the tour.
Oh, no way.
In May 2023,
that's right.
he saw her. Tour's been going on for so long.
World-dominating tour.
Yeah, so tour's been going on for so long. He's already seen her. He really wanted to go. He's like, I want to go, but like tickets are just so expensive. And all these people in the chat turning it into a story of, the millionaire can't afford tickets. Just because you have money doesn't mean it's not he can't afford it. You can't justify it. That's all it is. So all these people be, oh, he's so cheap. He's so cheap. It's like you don't just because you have money doesn't mean you want to spend $4,000 on concert tickets.
What are you talking about?
What do you mean? That was the story. Was he said?
I know.
Yeah,
But he could.
he could, but it's hard to justify. Is all he was saying. He wasn't saying, "Oh, woe is me," which is what people turned it into. Like we know how much Jake makes.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not saying what was me. He just, in the end, he says, I'm not comfortable paying this
Yeah.
for a concert ticket.
And
because
then
I've
he
already
said-
seen her, too. Fair enough.
And also, newsflash.
But he could have.
Rich people don't pay for stuff. This is the thing I'm also learning.
Oh, yeah.
Rich
no.
people don't pay for stuff. I don't know if he paid for tickets. I shouldn't be spouting off like this. But what I'm saying is he was saying in Boston he had hookups for tickets. So he's like,
Yeah.
I don't have any hookups here. So my question for Jake when I see him next time is, was my story that took off what got you hookups? Like,
Yeah.
do people
I was
say
a little surprised.
8 goals in 6 games?
Well,
Sure, I'll give him
yeah.
some tickets.
Yeah. I was a little, I mean, I guess, I don't know. I assume all the suites at BC Place were taken. I was a little surprised like the Canucks hadn't like organized a suite or something, because that feels like something that would be player friendly.
Jake and Hoaglander were the only ones that wanted to go. Hughes was there too, actually.
They'd all go. They got, hey, we're going
Oh,
to
if there was a
Swift
suite,
concert.
for sure.
You're
Who
telling me
wouldn't go?
Thatcher Demko's wife and him and his wife don't want to go see.
No, of course they'd go. Who wouldn't go from the team?
Speaking of, you know,
Philip Hronik. No, I don't know.
I think they all would. I don't know. People like going to big events. They get free tickets to concerts at Rogers Arena all the time.
Who hates Taylor Swift the most on the team? If you had to guess. Family Feud question.
Ooh, I can't even guess. Brock Besser. No,
No.
Brock loves it.
Brock's a
Brock
Swiftie.
loves
Come
it.
on now.
Brock loves it.
I can see like JT is no time for Taylor Swift. Rock and roll only.
Yeah, probably.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Maybe Myers. Myers has kids though.
No.
Well, I guess so does JT.
Tyler's no.
JT's got girls too.
Yeah.
I can see JT and you got girls. It's a rite of passage. The dad has to take the daughters to a concert and stands there with his arms folded and there for safety.
It's true.
You
It's
been to
true.
any of those in your time as a dad?
Not yet. No.
Okay.
No.
Looking forward to that.
Everything's too loud still. Well, there it is.
There's the express photo. Beautiful.
The young quads.
Murph, Farhan, PJ. My goodness, whatever Murph's chest workout is.
That was incredible. This picture always throws me because it's like he just did push-ups.
Yeah.
So this is the old hallway. Remember when we used to hang out there?
Yeah.
Anyway, it was very nice. Quad showed up. Tally, and we did this for Tally and young quads with his hair hanging out the back. And,
Oh wow, that's long hair.
But yeah, this was, if I'm not mistaken, this was trade deadline day, and that's why we were all there. And yeah, that was the day I made Drance sweat
Why?
because I had the Markstrom scoop.
What was the what?
Well,
Markstrom scoop?
not long before deadline, I went, I think there may be something more to this Jacob Markstrom maintenance day than appears, or something like that.
I think you had the wrong day. I had long hair in that photo. Markstrom wasn't a Canuck in that photo.
Yeah, he was.
No, he wasn't.
That's before the pandemic. That's 2020, isn't it?
No,
What year is that?
2021.
Is it 2021? Are you sure? We're not wearing masks.
That's why it was 2021. If it was 2020, we'd be wearing masks.
No, we wouldn't.
Trade deadline 2020 was before the season.
Oh, it's
got shut down.
2022. Oh, look at that.
22?
You guys are both wrong.
2022.
Oh my gosh. Okay, forget it. Moving on.
Good,
I can't
good
believe
story.
I
A really good story from. But we've had like, 2 really good stories. People are
knocked it out of the park. Knocked it out of the park.
All
Okay,
right, move on.
let's get some anyone else's in the chat here, folks. Yeah, let's get to anyone else. Let's get to it. Let's see what we have here. Ty David, Quad's new claim to fame. I spoke to Jake DeBrusk about Taylor Swift. What's the best conversation you've had with a player in all your years? Best conversation you've had with a player. You can say best based on whatever criteria you want.
Best conversation. It's all moments, honestly. It's the time Brock Besser growled when I walked in. They were playing Shania, and he growled. I said, "Who is in charge of the music right now?" He goes, "I don't know." This is when Brock used to be by the door, so you'd see him first. Rooster trying to tell me a joke in Winnipeg that I didn't even understand because it was his accent was so strong, and I had to ask him again, and I still didn't understand what he was saying, but I had to pretend I did. That's probably it. Yeah.
My favorite moment with a player, other than DeBrusk recently, obviously.
Yeah.
Favorite moment with a player is probably when I talked to Colin Delia about Fartgate. Do you remember this?
Oh God.
His skate made a sound.
That was pretty good.
And I turned the story into something
Delia
about
was good.
skates.
Yeah.
But he totally played along.
Yeah,
and
Delia was
Spencer
good.
Martin played along.
Oh.
And it was fantastic.
That was good.
And both of them jumped in. and I wish nothing but good things for Colin Delia. And
I wrote
Spencer
a story about the 2020 or 2011 Canada Winter Games final, which featured Team Ontario versus Team BC, which featured Horvat, Spencer Martin. Team BC, I think, had Curtis Lazar.
Yes.
It was a really good. Those guys were so pumped. They were all so pumped to revisit their youth, and I totally understood why.
PD and his stick flex. Someone in the chat, Callie Canuck, brought that up in the chat. That's a good one for me too.
That's your best one.
Yeah, that was a good one.
That's your best one.
PD's always willing to talk to me about stick flex. Is the fun thing.
It's because you look young.
We relate to each other. We talk about Call of Duty and
you guys can talk about the same thing.
And not using social media very much. Okay, let's get to the bingo card here. The Quads bingo card. We've decided, the chat has decided, that we're going to keep a weekly tally because it's probably going to be hard to get bingo on a day. So I think what we'll do is a weekly tally. See in a week if we can get all of the Quads bingo card, or if you can get bingo or convo, whatever you want to call it, if you can get that through a week. So far, I had a victory lap, which is a free square. That happens every show.
Yeah.
So that already happened. Quads versus Jacob didn't happen yet.
No. Pull that up, Jacob. That's kind of happened.
Yeah, pull that up, Jacob. Happened. Vibes take might have happened. Deep cut Canucks lore. You had an issue with this.
It's such. I mean, I said, what could you two possibly have about deep cut Canucks lore?
Lots.
Listeners and viewers. David Quadrelli's example, and I get a lot of you are young, but this was just what? His example was Jack Skilly.
Yeah, we bring Jack Skilly up once a month.
Making the team off a PTO.
Yeah.
Okay, but what?
No. So in Family Feud, you know our Family Feud segment. You're familiar, I'm sure. I throw out some pretty obscure answers, so much so that not only do they get 0 points, but then there are people in the chat asking, who is that? Or why did you bring that up? And then I explain. So that's... We do some deep cut Canucks lore once in a while.
I mean, okay.
Do you have something that you'd like to share?
No, it's fine.
Okay. What else have we done? People said there was about 3 that were already done today.
Did you mention Chris Faber today? You might have. No Faber.
Really? I thought I might have, actually.
There was no Faber mentions. I would have mentioned that.
Okay.
There were no Faber mentions.
Okay, well.
Love for White Spot? No.
Not yet. Lankinen.
I was at White Spot on
Saturday. We're going on Wednesday. We're going on Wednesday.
Quads and Harman match. Well, we're not matching. He's not here.
No.
So.
And we weren't going to match today.
I think he scored 24 goals last year. Did I mention Niels Höglander?
No.
No, I didn't.
But that's the running joke is every time Höglander's brought up, Harman goes, he scored 24 goals last year.
He did. I mean, I said that on Rink Wide yesterday.
Yeah.
I literally said that, so you can have that.
No, we can't have that square. That doesn't count. Us reading them out. And people in the chat are typing in stuff, trying to get me to say stuff. Nice try. Nice try, folks. Patrick, as we wrap up today, anything else from around the league that you wanted to bring up?
Well, I had a good laugh about Kevin Adams.
Oh, that
refusing
was such
to take ownership of what's going on there.
Now, for those that haven't seen
and from personal experience, right? Like, think about what we dealt with here and just the insanity of it all for so long. You can't just say draft and develop. Like, you have to actually do it.
Yes.
And
Patrick, the thing is, and sorry to cut you off, but some context here. GM of the Buffalo Sabres, Kevin Adams, comes out, holds a press conference, another disastrous season in Buffalo. Last time they made the playoffs, I was enjoying my PlayStation 2. Kevin Adams comes out, and he's asking about failures, and he's talking about how hard it is for them to get free agents. And no state income tax. There's like 6 teams that benefit from that.
I know.
And guess what? Other teams that don't have that win the cup still.
And there are teams... I don't know, like the Winnipeg Jets that are able to sign free agents.
And it's Winnipeg.
And nobody, there are two places that I get told are constantly on players' no trade lists, and one of them is Winnipeg, and one of them is Buffalo, and the third one is Edmonton.
And do you know why Winnipeg and
Edmonton signs players, and Winnipeg signs players. So Kevin Adams, what are you talking about? Sell your program, do a better job of what you're trying to do here. Learn the Lawrence Gilman lesson, which he brought from Phoenix when he was hired to the Canucks, because he had run the San Antonio Rampage, which was the old farm team for the Coyotes, and they shared a building with the Spurs, and the lesson there was, how did the San Antonio Spurs do it? They kept Tim Duncan happy. And if you keep Tim Duncan happy, players are going to want to come and play with Tim Duncan. And so that is the lesson. Do your job, make it happen. It just sounded like a bunch of complaining and a bunch of excuse making and a refusal to acknowledge your own responsibility.
And all you have to do as the general manager is come out and say, hey, you know what? Like, we thought drafting and developing would be enough, and we acquired all these picks, and we've made some high selections, and we thought this would be enough.
Yeah.
And that was on me for miscalculating that we needed to do more to insulate those players.
Conversation nailing it. Eichel, Reinhardt, Hagel. Like, what are we even talking about? You had the players, but they weren't happy. I don't think Jack Eichel, Jack Eichel didn't leave because he went to Vegas to save money on his taxes. He left because there was a place to go that was better.
And they wouldn't let him get his neck surgery
and they
in
wouldn't
Buffalo,
neck
allegedly.
surgery and all this stuff. Anyway, can we just point out a couple of different people here? Point out Paul and KP, point out Blackwood to the Avs, which I think is...
Yes, let's talk about that. Yeah, so the
quickly.
Avs go get a goaltender. I almost said they get their goaltender.
Yeah. I mean...
He's a guy that Blackwood is going to put on the pads.
There was buzz on Blackwood before, right? When he was in New Jersey, there was buzz on the guy. And listen, Georgiev, it wasn't working, right?
No,
it was not working. So they had to quote Jeff Patterson and do something. Mm-hmm. Blackwood had some buzz on him. The thing I always love about Mackenzie Blackwood was he was a guy that was countered to me, and I mentioned this in a chat we have, but. Spring of 2019, when the Canucks were running through life with just 2 NHL goaltenders on their actual reserve list, 2 contracts. They had nobody in I guess Richard Bachman technically was, but he was injured in Utica, and poor old Mike DiPietro got shoved into an emergency start because
against San Jose.
Demko was hurt, and Jacob Markstrom had some sort of back issue and couldn't play. Like, he wouldn't have been able to play. If I understand it correctly, he would not actually. If he had to go in the net, he wouldn't be able to play. He would have been pulled, and they would have had to put the UBC, whoever E-Bug was sitting in the dressing room ready to go.
That was in San Jose.
No, that was here.
When DiPietro was
that was here. He made 2 starts. It was against San Jose, but it was here.
Was it here? I thought it was in San Jose. They lost like 7-2.
It was crazy. That was here.
That was here.
It was crazy. And but in the days leading up to that, I talked to. Maybe it was after anyway. I talked to Jim Benning and I said, how about Ken Appleby? He goes, who? You mean Mackenzie Blackwood? I'm like, no, Ken Appleby. He's in the New Jersey system. He's on an AHL contract. He played 3 games last year. Why don't you, if you need a guy who could theoretically play an NHL game, why don't you sign him? At least there's an opportunity. And it kind of made me laugh. He said, well, I'll go with the list I'm given. And it kind of made me laugh because the list I had been given, I'm pretty sure, came from Ian Clark originally. There was a list of names that was suggested to me.
I have no comment, but you're bang on.
Yeah, it just made me laugh because you knew what it was. Like, somebody had given me a bunch of. What about this? Look at these guys and the list of names. There were a bunch of goalies they could have signed easily. Anyway, it just made me laugh because that's whenever I see Mackenzie Blackwood's name, I think of that strange.
For all his faults, one of the best things Jim Benning ever did was just get out of the way for Ian Clark.
But also, in the end, Jim was happy to talk and tell you what he thought and was And I was just kind of like, okay, all right, that's what you're going with. But it was such a wild time. Anyway, people.
Can I give you a legitimate take on Mackenzie Blackwood?
Yes.
He is a guy that he's not going to be Kevin Lankinen, but he's a guy that what I've seen.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be able to play in Colorado. I know he's going to be better than Georgiev for sure. It's not that bad of a defensive environment in Colorado if you haven't heard.
What went wrong? I guess the question is what went wrong for Georgiev because it should have worked, right? He had the talent, right? It should have worked and it didn't.
Yeah.
So was it just his head? I don't know. Because it's not like the Avs are a bad defensive
No.
team.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying is if Mackenzie Blackwood can put up a 9-10 with the San Jose Sharks of this year and an 8.99 with the San Jose Sharks of last year that were even worse than they are this year. This is a smart pickup, I think, for Colorado. He's still just a guy, and he's going to have to go prove it. But, I like this bet. I know they give up some stuff to get him. They give up a second-round pick to get him.
Yeah.
I do like this trade for them. They needed a goalie, and I think this is probably... if you had to give me a list, put it this way. You have to come up with a list of who is available, who is not going to break the bank. You can't trade Kevin. You can't trade for Kevin Lankinen. That ship sailed. You can't do that because the Canucks need him.
Yeah.
The Canucks know they need him. That's not happening. The list of goalies that you actually are going to bring in that you think could be difference makers, that is a very, very short list at this point in the year. Mackenzie Blackwood is on that list. I actually like that trade for Colorado. I do.
Yeah,
He's going to put up good numbers.
You could do no worse,
Yeah.
right? Like Georgiev wasn't working. You need to try something different. You can do no worse. It's a throw a dart, and maybe we'll get closer to hitting the middle.
Okay, in the chat, Corey McKay in the chat, our friend, he said, I'm so used to seeing Patrick as only a headshot that his legs are freaking me out a little.
Oh, well,
There they are.
there we go. Wearing my purple Vans.
And Syndicat says, Avs still need a better goalie. So we'll see how it works out with them, with Mackenzie Blackwood. But this was fun, Patrick. This was a lot of fun. Final
Thanks
thoughts?
for having me, Dave.
Any final thoughts? Score for Cancer. Please donate to Score for Cancer,
Keep
folks.
a stick on the ice.
We'll be back tomorrow to break down the Canucks' next game. That Demko start is what we're assuming. It's going to be fun. Harman's going to be back. It'll be a remote show, but we'll be back tomorrow to break it all down. But before that, let's get to our Bet365 bet of the day. Does anybody in the chat remember what I put on Friday? So the chat's starting to keep track of my bets, and I like to pick underdogs.
I believe you won. You went with a favorite. Didn't you take Washington over Toronto?
They were the underdogs.
They were the underdog. Well, they won that game 4-1,
So that is a Leafs for frauds, if you're keeping track on the bingo card. I'm not even joking. I correctly, like, the Blues were facing the Leafs, and it was Craig Berube's first game back in St. Louis, and, like, I went in this whole rant. The Blues were, like, plus 210. Like, it was crazy odds. Like, the books were like, oh, the Leafs are winning this, and I went on this big rant. I was like, oh, well, the Leafs are frauds. This game means something to their coach. You know, this game means a little more than a regular season game, so you know they're not going to show up. Sure enough, I think they lost 3-0 in that game, and they didn't show up. So, yeah, I had a good time with my Leafs for frauds bet.
Oh, boy.
Let's get to our Bet365 bet of the day, which is brought to you by, you guessed it, Bet365. The Detroit Red Wings are taking on the Buffalo Sabres tonight. They're the underdogs at plus 105. I like that. I like that. To take down the Sabres after what we just talked about with Kevin Adams, I like that. I am taking the Detroit Red Wings at plus 105 odds. That was our bet of the day, brought to you by Bet365, a proud partner of Canucks Conversation. Open an account with Bet365 today. I bet on a huge range of markets. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Be sure to use code NATION when you sign up for an account. Must be 19 plus to play. If you choose to play, please play responsibly. People in the chat really like it.
How do you say Corey's last name?
He just explained it to me and I forgot. Isn't it McQuay?
Yeah, it's McQuay. That's what I would say, Corey.
What did I say?
I don't know.
Not that? He explained the what's it called? The phonetics?
Yes.
Yeah, he explained that to me recently and I forgot. Corey McQuay, I think it is.
Yeah, that's what it looks like to me.
Yeah.
Did you say McHugh or something?
I might have said McKee the first time.
Oh, okay. Yes, he said yes. There we go.
Got it. McKee. Good enough. No,
McKee?
No. McQuay.
Quads,
McQuay.
don't do this.
It's McQuay.
Patrick got
It's
it.
McQuay.
I had a talent when I was a substitute teacher, coming in and impressing kids by pronouncing their names correctly, no matter what culture they were from.
We will talk about the Larkin trade tomorrow. We'll talk about Larkin trade rumors, we should say. Dylan Larkin trade
Yeah,
rumors.
I was like, hold on, what?
Yeah, no.
Don't say that.
We'll talk about the rumors tomorrow. We got to close it out. We're out of here. For my co-host, Patrick Johnston, our technical producer, Jacob Lazar. Our thanks again to Ryan Tattle of the Yukon Huskies for joining us. Go support Score for Cancer, folks. My name is Dave Quadrelli. Thanks so much for this episode of Canucks Conversation. Canucks Conversation is live Monday through Friday, every weekday at 2 p.m. over on the Canucks Army YouTube channel. Make sure you like, subscribe, and interact in the YouTube live chat every day with us, folks.